The emergency lights cast a blood-red glow across the bridge of the Schrodinger's Vengeance. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched the holographic display with a mixture of desperation and cold calculation. 12 human warships remained, a pittance against the overwhelming might of the consortium fleet that stretched across 3 star systems. Tactical Officer Mark Reynolds updated the casualty report. "We've lost contact with the outer colonies. Santiago, New Beijing, and the entire Proxima sector have gone dark." His voice cracked slightly, betraying the weight of millions of lost lives. Rodriguez knew the statistics by heart. Humanity had been fighting for survival for the past 17 months. What began as a standard territorial dispute had escalated into a war of absolute extinction. The consortium, a coalition of 6 advanced alien species, had decided that humans were too unpredictable, too dangerous to be allowed to exist. She remembered the initial encounters. First contact had seemed promising. Diplomatic exchanges, shared scientific conferences, mutual curiosity about each other's civilizations. Then came the sudden, brutal assault. No warnings, no negotiations, just total, overwhelming violence. The ship's chief engineer, Jack Mitchell, approached her command chair. His uniform was rumpled, hands stained with engine grease and dried blood from emergency repairs. "We're running out of options, Captain," he said, his voice a mix of exhaustion and something else, a spark of defiance that hadn't been extinguished. Rodriguez nodded. The Schrodinger's Vengeance was more than just a ship. It was humanity's final, most desperate gamble. Developed in total secrecy, built with resources scraped from the last remaining human shipyards, the vessel represented everything they had left. "Status report," she commanded, her voice cutting through the tension on the bridge. Reynolds pulled up the tactical display. The consortium fleet looked like a swarm of metallic locusts, each ship designed for pure destruction. Massive dreadnoughts flanked by smaller interceptors, weapons charged and ready to obliterate the last remnants of human resistance. "Shields at 22%, Reynolds reported. "Weapon systems are operating at 47% capacity. We have enough power for maybe 3 more significant engagements." Mitchell stepped forward, his hands clutching a data tablet. "The quantum lock system is untested at full capacity. We've run simulations, but never a full-scale deployment." His eyes met Rodriguez. They both understood what that meant. This was a one-time solution. If it failed, humanity would be extinct within hours. The communication officer, Sarah Thompson, suddenly straightened. "Captain, I'm picking up a transmission. It's from Earth." A hushed silence fell over the bridge. Earth had been silent for months, presumed completely destroyed in the initial consortium assault. The message was fragmented, broken, but it was clear enough to send a chill down Rodriguez's spine. Last hope, Mitchell's project, quantum lock, must be activated. Humanity's final chance. Mitchell's face went pale. The message confirmed what they had suspected. The entire project had been known at the highest levels of what remained of human leadership. This wasn't just a military experiment. This was a last, desperate protocol designed to give humanity one final shot at survival. Rodriguez studied the tactical display. The consortium fleet was closing in. They would be within firing range in less than 17 minutes, enough time for one final strategy, one last moment of human defiance. "Prepare the quantum lock system," she commanded. The bridge crew exchanged looks. This was it. The moment that would determine whether humanity would become a footnote in galactic history or something more. Mitchell's fingers flew across his console. Warning systems blared. Safety protocols screamed for attention. But they had gone far beyond standard operating procedures. "System is warming up," he reported. "Quantum entanglement matrices are approaching critical alignment." Reynolds watched the approaching consortium fleet. They have no idea what's coming. Rodriguez allowed herself the briefest moment of a smile. Humanity had always been at its best when backed into a corner. When logic suggested surrender, humans found a way to rewrite the rules entirely. The red emergency lights continued to pulse. 17 minutes until total annihilation. 17 minutes to prove that humanity was more than just another species to be conquered. 17 minutes to change the course of galactic history. The Rocky Mountain Research Facility looked like nothing more than an abandoned military complex, nestled deep within a fortified canyon. Its true purpose remained hidden from all but a select few. Dr. Jack Mitchell stood before a massive holographic display, his fingers tracing quantum equations that seemed to dance and shift with a life of their own. 5 years earlier, the world had been different. Humanity was expanding, exploring, full of hope and technological promise. Mitchell remembered the day everything changed. The day he first discovered the quantum anomaly that would become humanity's ultimate weapon of survival. It had started as a simple research project into quantum entanglement. Most of his colleagues believed it was just another theoretical exercise, a way to push the boundaries of human understanding. But Mitchell saw something more, a possibility that defied conventional physics. Dr. Rebecca Williams, his primary research partner, approached with a steaming cup of coffee. Her eyes were bloodshot, evidence of yet another long night of research. "We're close," she said, more to herself than to Mitchell. "Something is trying to break through." The facility was a marvel of human engineering and secrecy. Buried 6 levels underground, protected by multiple layers of electromagnetic shielding and quantum interference barriers, it represented the pinnacle of human scientific achievement. Most of the world had no idea what was happening here, and that was exactly how they wanted it. Mitchell pulled up a series of complex simulations. Each one showed a different approach to quantum state manipulation. Traditional physics suggested what they were attempting was impossible, but Mitchell had never been one to accept limitations. The key, he explained to Williams, drawing her attention to a particularly complex equation, is not just to create a quantum state, but to weaponize it, to make it responsive, adaptive. Their breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A junior researcher named David Chin had been studying anomalies in particle accelerator data. What seemed like random noise to others revealed a pattern to Mitchell, a way to not just observe quantum states, but to control them. The military had initially laughed when Mitchell first presented his theories. Quantum warfare, it sounded like science fiction. But as global tensions increased and humanity faced increasing external threats, perspectives changed. Funding came from unexpected sources, black budget programs, desperate military leaders, individuals who understood that humanity's survival might depend on something completely unprecedented. Williams pulled up a holographic model of their latest prototype. It looked like nothing more than a complex network of quantum sensors and energy conduits. But Mitchell knew it was far more than that. This was a system that could potentially rewrite the fundamental laws of physical interaction. "We're playing with something beyond our current understanding," Williams muttered. "If we're wrong, this could be catastrophic." Mitchell nodded. The risks were immense. Each experiment brought them closer to either a revolutionary breakthrough or total failure. They had already gone through 17 distinct prototype designs, each more complex than the last. The breakthrough came during a late-night experiment that was never officially recorded. A particle beam passed through a quantum interface, and for a brief moment, it existed in multiple states simultaneously, not just theoretically, but actually, demonstrably. Chen burst into the control room, his usual calm demeanor replaced by raw excitement. "We've done it," he shouted, pulling up the experimental data. The readings were unlike anything they had ever seen before. Mitchell studied the data with a critical eye. This was more than just a scientific curiosity. This was a potential game-changer in how matter and energy could interact. The military liaison, Colonel Sandra Rodriguez, Alina's mother, watched the presentation with a mix of skepticism and growing interest. "Explain to me," she said, "how this could be used to save humanity." Mitchell took a deep breath. Imagine a weapon system that can exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. A ship that can be everywhere and nowhere. Weapons that can strike without being seen, without being tracked. The room fell silent. The implications were staggering. "We're not just talking about a new weapon," Mitchell continued. "We're talking about fundamentally changing the nature of warfare, of existence itself." As the sun set outside the mountain facility, a new hope for humanity was being born, not through conventional strength, but through the most unexpected of human traits, the ability to look beyond what was known and imagine what could be. The Quantum Lock project had begun. The space around the Schrödinger's Vengeance boiled with energy. Consortium warships filled every visible sector, their weapon systems creating a web of destructive potential that should have spelled certain doom for the last human vessel. Captain Elena Rodriguez gripped her command chair, her muscles coiled like springs. The bridge crew moved with a precision born of desperation and months of constant warfare. Every system was pushed to its absolute limit. "Quantum Lock system is at pre-activation stage," Jack Mitchell called out from his engineering station. His hands moved with a surgeon's precision across multiple holographic interfaces. Sweat beaded on his forehead, a testament to the incredible stress of the moment. Mark Reynolds, the tactical officer, called out the incoming threat. 16 primary dreadnoughts, 32 secondary support vessels. Weapons are hot. We've got multiple targeting locks. His voice was calm, professional, a trained response to the overwhelming odds. Rodriguez knew this was humanity's last chance. One shot, one moment to prove that human innovation could stand against seemingly insurmountable odds. "Activate Quantum Lock," she commanded. Mitchell's fingers hit the final sequence. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship seemed to shimmer, not in any way that could be easily described. It was as if the Schrödinger's Vengeance existed in multiple realities simultaneously. The first volley from the consortium fleet passed directly through the ship. Confusion erupted on the alien communication channels. Rodriguez could see the panicked transmissions flooding the tactical displays. Weapon systems designed with millennia of technological advancement suddenly found themselves completely ineffective. "Target priority zones," Rodriguez ordered. "Show them what human engineering can do." The ship's weapon systems came alive. Each shot was impossible, precise beyond any known targeting system. Massive consortium vessels began to explode, their hulls breached with surgical precision. Sarah Thompson, the communication officer, intercepted increasingly desperate alien transmissions. "Their command structure is collapsing," she reported. "They can't comprehend what's happening." Mitchell explained the science in real time. The quantum lock creates a probabilistic existence. We're simultaneously in multiple quantum states. Weapon systems can't establish a consistent targeting solution because we're literally everywhere and nowhere at once. Another wave of consortium ships approached. Their weapon signatures suggested total annihilation was imminent. But as their energy beams approached, they simply passed through the Schrödinger's Vengeance like it was a ghost. "Multiple critical hits confirmed," Reynolds reported, his voice a mix of disbelief and excitement. "They're losing ships faster than they can respond." The battle transformed from a desperate last stand to something else entirely. A demonstration of human ingenuity that would be remembered across generations. One consortium dreadnought, nearly 10 times the size of the human vessel, moved to initiate a close-range assault. Its massive weapon systems charged, ready to obliterate the human ship. Rodriguez watched with cold calculation. "Mitchell, can we do something?" Unexpected. A rare smile crossed the scientist's face. "Absolutely." The Schrödinger's Vengeance suddenly appeared inside the dreadnought's defensive perimeter, not by moving traditionally, but by quantum tunneling, existing in one position, then simultaneously in another, without traversing the space between. The human ship's weapons fired at point-blank range. The massive consortium vessel split apart in a catastrophic explosion that sent shockwaves across the entire battle sector. Communication channels erupted in chaos. Alien commanders couldn't comprehend what they were witnessing. A single human vessel was systematically destroying an entire battle fleet that should have crushed them in seconds. Their formation is completely broken, Reynolds reported. They're retreating. Retreating. The word hung in the air. Humanity was not just surviving, it was winning. Rodriguez looked at Mitchell. No words were necessary. They both understood the magnitude of what had just happened. This was more than a battle. This was a fundamental reimagining of warfare, of existence itself. The quantum lock had worked. Against all odds, against every prediction, humanity had found a way to survive. As the last consortium ships fled, the Schrödinger's vengeance continued to exist in its impossible state, a testament to human innovation, to the ability to transform certain destruction into unprecedented victory. The news spread faster than light itself. On the crystalline communication hub of the Zarkax Concordance, senior diplomats watched the transmission in stunned silence. A single human vessel had decimated an entire consortium battle fleet, a fleet that represented the combined military might of 6 advanced alien civilizations. Ambassador Krulnax, a veteran diplomat with over 3 centuries of galactic experience, felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: genuine fear. "Replay the transmission," he commanded. The holographic display flickered, showing the Schrödinger's vengeance moving through space in its impossible quantum state. Weapons passed through the ship like it was made of mist. When the human vessel struck, it did so with a precision that defied all known laws of warfare. On a distant research planet, alien scientists worked frantically to understand the technology. Quantum mechanics had always been a theoretical challenge, but this was something else entirely. The human vessel didn't just bend the rules of physics, it seemed to completely rewrite them. Dr. Iloran, a leading physicist from the Quantum Research Collective, reviewed the battle logs for the 1000th time. "This is impossible," she muttered, knowing full well that it was anything but impossible. The psychological impact spread across multiple star systems. Civilizations that had viewed humans as a minor, easily conquered species now reconsidered everything they thought they knew. Communication networks buzzed with speculation. How had humans developed such technology? What other secrets might they be hiding? The narrative shifted from human extinction to human threat in a matter of hours. On the trading hub of New Avalon, a neutral space station that served as a galactic marketplace, rumors took on a life of their own. Merchants whispered about the quantum-locked ship. Traders adjusted their shipping routes. Military contractors began redesigning weapon systems that suddenly seemed obsolete. Captain Rodriguez became more than just a military leader. She became a symbol. The first detailed reports came from surviving consortium ships. Their communications told a story of absolute terror. Weapon systems that had been developed over millennia became useless. Tactical algorithms collapsed. The very concept of space warfare had been fundamentally challenged. "It's like fighting a ghost," one consortium tactical officer reported before being relieved of duty. "A ghost that can kill you before you even realize it's there." Intelligence networks worked overtime. Every scrap of information about human technology became valuable. Research teams were assembled. Emergency meetings were called across dozens of star systems. The Zarkax Concordance took the most direct approach. They dispatched their most advanced stealth probes to gather information about the Schrödinger's vengeance. Each probe was their most sophisticated intelligence-gathering technology, designed to be undetectable by any known scanning system. Every single probe disappeared. Some simply winked out of existence. Others sent back fragments of data that made no scientific sense. It was as if the probes encountered something beyond their comprehension. On Earth's few remaining colonies, human survivors watched with a mixture of hope and exhaustion. The quantum-locked ship represented more than a military breakthrough. It was proof that humanity could survive, could fight back against seemingly insurmountable odds. Jack Mitchell, watching from the research facility, understood the deeper implications. This wasn't just about winning a war. This was about proving that human innovation could transform the fundamental understanding of reality itself. The galactic community began to fracture. Some species argued for immediate all-out war against humans before they could develop the technology further. Others advocated for diplomacy, for understanding. But beneath it all was a growing recognition. Humans were no longer just another species to be conquered or dismissed. They were something else entirely, unpredictable, innovative, dangerous. Ambassador Krelnax made a recommendation to his government that would have been unthinkable just weeks earlier. "We must re-evaluate our entire approach to human civilization," he reported. "What we once saw as weakness, we now must recognize as our greatest potential threat." The quantum-locked battleship had done more than win a battle. It had changed the entire dynamics of galactic power. Humanity had become something to be feared. The Quantum Research Collective assembled the most advanced scientific minds in the known galaxy. Massive research platforms orbited barren planets, each one dedicated to solving the single most important problem: understanding the human quantum lock technology. Dr. Elena Volkov, head of the Quantum Breakthrough Division, stared at the holographic projections with increasing frustration. Weeks of analysis had produced nothing but more questions. The human technology defied every established principle of quantum mechanics. "We're missing something fundamental," she announced to her team of 200 top researchers. Each came from a different alien species, representing the most brilliant minds in the galaxy. Star charts, quantum simulation models, and fragmented data from the Schrodinger's vengeance covered every available surface. The consortium had committed unprecedented resources to this project. Entire research planets were repurposed. Massive computational arrays worked around the clock, analyzing every millisecond of recorded data from the human ship's encounters. Dr. Xanthor, a crystalline-based life form from the Prism Collective, projected a new analysis. "Look here," he said, his translucent form shifting with excitement. "There's a pattern in the quantum destabilization field. It's not random. It's adaptive." Volkov zoomed in on the data. The quantum lock system wasn't just a static technology. It was learning, evolving. Each encounter made the system more sophisticated, more impossible to predict. On the other side of the galaxy, Jack Mitchell and his team continued to refine the technology. They understood something the alien researchers did not. The quantum lock was more than a weapon. It was a living system, constantly improving itself. The consortium's first attempt to counter the technology came with a massive experimental weapon, a quantum disruption cannon designed to collapse any quantum state system. They believed they had found the ultimate solution. The weapon fired, and nothing happened. The Schrodinger's vengeance simply continued its mission, unaffected. Worse, the ship's systems seemed to absorb the weapon's energy, using it to further enhance its own quantum capabilities. "It's like trying to catch smoke with a net," Volkov muttered, reviewing the failed test results. Emergency meetings were called across multiple star systems. The most advanced civilizations in the galaxy were being challenged by a technology they couldn't understand, couldn't predict, couldn't fight. Some proposed more extreme measures. The Void Consensus suggested creating a massive quantum dampening field that would neutralize all quantum-based technologies. But the risk was too great. Such a field would potentially destroy more technology than it would save. Mitchell's team had a critical advantage. While alien researchers approached the problem from a purely theoretical perspective, the humans were practical. They had developed the technology under the most extreme circumstances. Survival was their primary motivation. "The key is adaptability," Mitchell explained to his core research team. "We're not just creating a technology. We're creating a living system that can respond to threats in real time." The quantum lock wasn't just a defensive mechanism. It was becoming something more. A technology that could potentially rewrite the fundamental understanding of space, time, and existence. Alien military strategists began to realize the true horror of their situation. This wasn't just about a single ship. This was about a fundamental shift in technological capability. Dr. Volkov made a breakthrough that terrified her more than anything in her career. The quantum lock system wasn't just a method of existing in multiple states. It was creating new states of existence that had never been theoretically possible. "We're dealing with something beyond our current understanding of physics," she reported to the consortium leadership. "This isn't just advanced technology. This is a completely new form of interaction with reality itself." The Schrodinger's vengeance continued its mission. Each encounter made the system more sophisticated. Each battle provided more data, more opportunity for improvement. Humanity had created something unprecedented, a technology that was more than a weapon, a technology that was alive. And the galaxy was just beginning to understand how fundamentally everything was about to change. The Schrodinger's vengeance approached the heart of consortium territory like a ghost. Star charts showed an impossible journey, a single vessel penetrating the most heavily defended sector in galactic history. Captain Alina Rodriguez studied the holographic tactical display. Her fingers traced potential attack vectors, each movement calculated with surgical precision. Jack Mitchell stood beside her, monitoring the quantum lock system's adaptive responses. "We're not just attacking," Rodriguez explained to her bridge crew. "We're sending a message that will echo across every inhabited star system." The primary target was the consortium's central communication hub, a massive space station that coordinated military, diplomatic, and economic operations across 6 star systems. Destroying it would be more than a military victory. It would be a psychological demolition of the entire alien alliance. Mark Reynolds, the tactical officer, highlighted the defensive layers. 27 independent shield systems, multiple weapon platforms, automated defense networks that can track and destroy incoming vessels in milliseconds. He paused. At least for any other ship. Their approach defied every known principle of space warfare. The Schrodinger's vengeance didn't move in a traditional sense. It existed simultaneously in multiple potential locations, making traditional tracking impossible. Consortium defense systems went into full alert, weapon platforms charged, defensive networks activated. Thousands of targeting systems attempted to lock onto the approaching vessel, and failed completely. Sarah Thompson, the communication officer, intercepted increasingly panicked transmissions. Alien commanders couldn't comprehend what was happening. Their most advanced defense systems were rendered completely useless. "First defensive layer approaching," Reynolds called out. The ship's quantum lock system pulsed. Weapon systems that should have obliterated any incoming vessel simply passed through the Schrodinger's vengeance, as if it were nothing more than a phantom. Mitchell monitored the quantum matrices. "Adaptive response at 98% efficiency," he reported. "The system is learning with each millisecond of interaction." Rodriguez gave the order. Primary targets, maximum precision. The ship's weapon systems came alive. Each shot was impossible, striking with a precision that defied traditional targeting systems. Critical communication nodes exploded. Shield generators collapsed. Defense platforms disintegrated. But it was more than just destruction. It was a surgical dismantling of the consortium's most critical infrastructure. One by one, communication relays went dark. Military command centers ceased to exist. The massive central station began to break apart, its defensive systems completely overwhelmed. Alien commanders watched in real time as their most secure systems were systematically destroyed by a single vessel that seemed to exist beyond the laws of physics. "It's like watching a god move through our defenses," one consortium military leader was heard saying in an intercepted transmission. The attack lasted less than 17 minutes. When it was over, an entire sector of consortium space had been fundamentally transformed. Critical infrastructure that had taken centuries to build was gone. Rodriguez understood the deeper strategy. This wasn't just about military victory. This was about breaking the psychological backbone of an entire galactic alliance. "Quantum lock system is maintaining optimal performance," Mitchell reported. "We've gathered unprecedented data on complex defensive networks." The bridge crew watched in a mixture of awe and disbelief. They had just accomplished what entire fleets had failed to do for months. As the Schrodinger's vengeance prepared to withdraw, Rodriguez knew they had changed everything. This was more than a battle. This was a fundamental reimagining of warfare, of existence itself. The consortium would never be the same. Humanity had just demonstrated that they were not a species to be conquered. They were a force to be reckoned with. The diplomatic conference was unlike any in galactic history. The Schrodinger's vengeance hung in orbit around the neutral meeting planet, its mere presence a statement more powerful than any verbal negotiation. Alien diplomats arrived with a mixture of fear, respect, and barely contained desperation. Ambassador Krulnax of the Zarkax Concordance arrived first. His delegation carried the weight of multiple star systems, each representative knowing that humanity's quantum technology had fundamentally altered the balance of power in the galaxy. Captain Alina Rodriguez and Dr. Jack Mitchell stood as humanity's representatives. They were more than diplomats. They were living symbols of human resilience and innovation. The conference hall was a marvel of neutral diplomatic engineering. Designed to accommodate multiple species, it featured environmental controls that could adapt to various atmospheric requirements. But today, it felt smaller, more confined. The quantum-locked battleship's shadow seemed to stretch even into this carefully neutral space. "We are here to discuss terms," Rodriguez began, her voice calm and measured. No threats were necessary. The asterisk, Schrodinger's vengeance asterisk, had already made humanity's capabilities abundantly clear. The consortium's primary representative, a crystalline being named Vorlax, struggled to maintain composure. Its translucent form flickered with barely contained emotional turbulence. "Humanity's actions have threatened the stability of multiple star systems," Vorlax stated, attempting to sound authoritative. Mitchell stepped forward. "Your alliance attempted to commit total genocide against our species," he responded. "We're simply ensuring our survival." The diplomatic records would later show that this was the moment everything changed. Evidence was presented. Recorded transmissions, tactical data, proof of the consortium's initial unprovoked assault on human colonies. Each piece of evidence was accompanied by quantum-verified authentication, a technology so advanced that it made traditional diplomatic verification look like children's guesswork. Sarah Thompson, now serving as the primary communications specialist, managed the data flow. Her fingers moved across holographic interfaces, presenting information with a precision that left no room for debate. "We do not seek total conquest," Rodriguez explained. "We seek survival, cooperation, and a fundamental reset of galactic diplomatic relations." The terms were unprecedented. Complete cessation of all military actions against human colonies, significant technological and resource reparations, diplomatic recognition of humanity as a protected species, unrestricted access to neutral trade routes, permanent demilitarized zones around human-controlled space. Vorlax and the other diplomatic representatives understood the subtext. These were not requests. These were conditions. The quantum-locked battleship remained in orbit, a silent, impossible guardian that represented humanity's newfound power. Jack Mitchell explained the deeper implications. The quantum-locked technology wasn't just a weapon. It was a fundamental reimagining of technological potential. Species that cooperated would have access to groundbreaking research. Those that resisted would be left behind. Ambassador Krulnax, representing the more pragmatic elements of galactic civilization, saw an opportunity. "Humanity has demonstrated capabilities beyond our current understanding," he stated. "Cooperation is not just advisable. It is essential." The negotiations continued for days. But everyone understood that true negotiation had happened months ago, in the cold vacuum of space, when the Schrodinger's vengeance had first demonstrated its impossible capabilities. As the final agreements were signed, Rodriguez looked at Mitchell. No words were necessary. They both understood the magnitude of what had been accomplished. Humanity had not just survived. They had transformed the entire galactic order. The quantum-locked battleship remained in orbit, a silent testament to human innovation, resilience, and the ability to rewrite the rules of existence itself. Diplomacy would never be the same again. 10 years after the decisive quantum-locked battleship intervention, humanity stood transformed. The Rocky Mountain Research Facility, once a secret underground complex, was now the most prestigious scientific center in the known galaxy. Researchers from every sentient species competed for positions, hoping to understand the quantum lock technology that had rewritten the fundamental rules of existence. Dr. Jack Mitchell stood at the primary research window, watching a new generation of scientists work. His hair had more gray now, but his eyes still burned with the same innovative spark that had saved humanity from extinction. Captain Alina Rodriguez, now an admiral, oversaw the strategic development of human space exploration. The Schrodinger's Vengeance had become more than a single ship. It was a technological blueprint that had transformed human military and scientific capabilities. Quantum entanglement technology had revolutionized every aspect of galactic civilization. Space travel became instantaneous. Communication transcended traditional limitations. Defense systems were redesigned from the ground up. The first truly galactic university emerged on a carefully selected neutral planet. Human researchers worked alongside scientists from the Zarkax Concordance, the Prism Collective, and dozens of other species. The exchange of knowledge became the new currency of interstellar relations. Dr. Rebecca Williams, Mitchell's longtime research partner, led a team developing quantum medical technologies. Diseases that had been considered incurable were now treatable. Genetic modifications could be performed with unprecedented precision. "We didn't just change warfare," Mitchell often told young researchers. "We changed the fundamental understanding of possibility itself." The consortium, once humanity's most dangerous enemy, had been fundamentally restructured. Some species had been absorbed into new collaborative networks. Others had been pushed to the galactic periphery. But all understood one fundamental truth. Humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated. Economic systems transformed. Quantum communication allowed instantaneous trade negotiations. Resource allocation became more efficient. The old models of scarcity began to collapse in the face of technologies that could manipulate matter and energy at the quantum level. Sarah Thompson, who had been the communication officer on the Schrodinger's Vengeance, now led diplomatic relations with emerging species. Her understanding of quantum verification techniques made her the most trusted negotiator in known space. The quantum lock technology continued to evolve. Each new breakthrough seemed to open more possibilities. Researchers discovered they could manipulate probability itself. Theoretical physics became practical engineering. On the rebuilt human colonies, a new generation grew up understanding their species' remarkable journey. School curricula taught the story of survival, of innovation, of transforming certain destruction into unprecedented opportunity. Mark Reynolds, the former tactical officer, now led a research division exploring quantum-based exploration technologies. Spacecraft could now exist in multiple locations simultaneously, making interstellar exploration faster and more comprehensive than ever before. The galactic community watched in a mixture of wonder and concern. Humanity had gone from a species on the brink of extinction to the most innovative civilization in known space in less than a decade. Mitchell's original quantum lock designs were studied like sacred texts. Each iteration revealed new layers of complexity, new understanding of how reality could be manipulated. "We're not just exploring space anymore," Rodriguez would say in her strategic briefings. "We're exploring the very nature of existence." The Schrodinger's Vengeance itself became a museum piece and a living research platform. Preserved in orbital display, it continued to provide insights into the technology that had changed everything. Diplomatic conferences now included human representatives as equal partners. The old hierarchies had been completely dismantled. Species that had once sought humanity's destruction now sought its guidance. A young researcher approached Mitchell during a lecture. "How did you know it would work?" she asked. Mitchell smiled. The question was always the same. "We didn't," he responded. "We just knew we had no other choice." As the sun set on the research facility, holographic displays showed quantum simulations dancing across the walls. Each model represented another possibility, another potential future. Humanity had done more than survive. They had transformed the very understanding of what was possible. and they were just getting started.